have both parents in the house and blah, blah, blah. That was a representation of the norm, or at least a projection of what the norm should be, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely that nuclear family.
Exactly, right? And up until the end of the war, World War II, that was the greatest generation, I think. They came home and had babies. The war ended in 1945, and the baby boomers were born in 1946 up to 1964.
Yeah.
So that's our parents' generation, at least my parents' generation, right?
Yeah. My parents were born in 50.
Okay. So we're talking about the baby boomers tonight, but we're not going to talk about them in a way that kind of like, who they are and, kind of like a whole podcast on them. It's going to be more like how they were raised to shape us to be. They are the connection between the Happy Days and the feral, and the feral, generation that we're a part of. And, not all of it's their fault. You know what I mean? Not all of it's their fault. There's some significant things that happened that shaped it. And then we're going to answer the question, how did it stop? Why did it stop? And how come there's not continuing feral generations? What's different today, right? Well, we'll talk about all that tonight. So anyways, first, we're talking about like when World War II, the war industry creates a bunch of jobs. War is good business. It makes a lot of money, right? So you have all these jobs, all these factory jobs, and all these people in the workforce. The war's over. That's a lot of money, bro. So it threw me off. I was trying to listen to that. So you have all this money, you have all this thing, right? All this business, all this work. So things are booming. So after the boom, there's a flat, and then there's kind of a come back to normal, right? So during that come back to normal, our parents are born. Our parents start to grow up. A few things happen. War ended in 1945. GIs came home, had a bunch of kids around the same time, gave birth to the baby boomers. Baby boomers born from 46 to 64. Our parents, they are why we were feral, but it's not really their fault. Post-World War II era featured peak single breadwinner households. So 1950s and 1960s was the peak of having the single breadwinner, and it was always the dad. It was so out of character to not have, or to have maybe the wife working and maybe the guy wasn't working. They would talk about that. Maybe he had to be like fucking injured or disabled or something.
Well, a lot of girls were relegated to like nurses and secretarial work,
right?
Stuff like that. Teachers,
right. So the single breadwinner households, the wife's employment rates were already starting to go up, right, in 1950. And just like, like Jamie was like hinting to, the role of women back then didn't really include a lot of employment, right? Think of the movie Mr. Mom. Remember the movie Mr. Mom, early 80s?
Yeah, I remember.
Right, Michael Keaton, right? Mr. Mom. They made an entire movie out of the idea of a man not going to work and staying home and doing the mom stuff. An entire fucking movie on it.
Yeah.
That's how out of character, out of norm it was, right?
Yeah, really out of character.
So going back to the 1950s and 1960s, it was the culture, it was the standard, it was the norm, right? The baby boomers are born. The jobs, the market kind of comes down. Inflation goes up. Stagflation goes up, where things, what was the definition of that? I forgot what the definition of that was. So employment rates were already, going up for women anyways. Women's liberation, the feminist movement of the 1960s and 70s, encouraged women to seek financial independence and careers outside the home. So that's one thing that our baby boomers parents were starting to experience growing up. You know what I mean? Getting out of the idea of the norm of being a homemaker. You can be more than that secretary and nurse like you were talking about. You know what I mean? So this directly kind of feeds into that whole idea, and is one of the first things that started not splitting up the family, but bringing mom to work, right? And that was the thing. Mom started going to work. Here's another big one. In 1969, especially out here in California, we passed the first no-fault divorce law. That means we didn't have to have a reason.
Yeah, you could just get divorced.
You could just be done.
Yep. Didn't have to prove anything or infidelity or nothing.
You didn't have to do any of those things, right? So divorce rates skyrocket. And there's the birth of single parent households. Okay. Inflation's gone up. The job market's gone back down because the war has ended. The idea that women are going to leave the house and go to work, right? And these are our parents. Okay. Parents start to split up. Mom has to go to work. Bam. Here we are. There's the perfect formula for kids at home. Now, here's another ingredient to that formula. After school daycare programs were few and far between.
Yeah.
Even back in the 1970s, I think they started like in 1972 or something like that. But they weren't attached to every school. And they weren't before and after school with snacks and guidance and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I think grandma or aunts or somebody would watch you when I was growing up. There was no, hey, we're dropping you off at daycare. I'm going to work.
Right. Jobs decrease. Inflation goes up. The dollar doesn't go as far. Forces a lot of moms to go to work. The divorce rate skyrockets. Moms have to go to work. The dollar's not going as far anymore. And so now here we are, right? Divorce rates double between the mid-1960s and 1980.
And then that means that there is a increase in attorneys. Then there's child support. Then there's all kinds of stuff that goes into that just with having a lot of divorces.
Give a shout out to Gonzo out there. Gonzo, you're on a road trip, right? You're out there road tripping right now.
Where's Gonzo going?
He posted it the other day where he's headed. He's headed out there. I forget. I don't want to misquote him. Joe, where are you headed out there, man? And tell us where you are right now. Watch. He's probably back already. I just don't know. No, he's out there road tripping. And he's out there far, though. He's out there shooting pictures and doing cool shit. So for the kids who had parents in the home, for the kids growing up, these baby boomers, starting to have to go to work. They're starting to have to do all these things, right? My parents weren't part of that culture. That wasn't my parents' reality. My parents were more of the hippie kind of thing, right? And here's where it plays kind of an impact on the whole feral thing, right? My mom absolutely had a do your own thing philosophy. She absolutely said, she set wide boundaries. And my boundaries, I remember, were I can't go past Main Street over here. I can't go past Union Street over here. I can't go past, which was a dirt road back there, which was kind of Wawona. And I can't pass Yosemite and Manteca, which were the four main streets that enclosed, 3 fucking square miles or whatever it was. That was a whole bunch of neighborhoods. If I had a bike, I could cover them all. If I was on foot, I wasn't going that far, right? So do your own thing philosophy, kind of like go run and play, be free, kind of, Des Shepard, I think that's Des Bishop, a comedian. We played him last week. He nailed it. Perfect. When we were growing up, we had to be outside. You can't, what are you doing in my house? Get the hell out of my house. You can't be in the house. Are you cleaning? Are you cleaning right now? Are you watching General Hospital? No, get out of my house, right? So our parents growing up became parents, and mine were the hippie kind, right? Mine were the hippie kind. And that's where I kind of got that free, open range kind of parenting, I guess. I mean, I got disciplined. Not just spanked or whatever. There's boundaries, there's structure. I had all that shit. But and then here's another thing that I think that was alive and well when I was growing up, and it just doesn't exist today. The communal trust fall, as it's called, where like our family, if they lived close, would parent us however they parented, right? And our friends' parents would parent us. If we got out of line, they'd correct us. They would give us the same kind of parenting. So wherever we went, even though we were free, we still ran into accountability and boundaries with other people, other parents, other adults in the community, that communal kind of trust fall. Like, I'm going to trust that the community is going to also help raise my kid.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you whined, Dad would say, did you do that? Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. Okay, then you got what you deserved. It wasn't, you weren't going to get your butt beat, obviously, but, if you jerked your chain a little bit, it was like, hey, man, I want to talk to your dad. And then they'd get together and have a talk, where now they don't really do that anymore. They just go, well, I'll just make a post on Facebook and call the school district, or get a private bathroom for my daughter or something, or.
No, it didn't exist when we were kids. No. No, I got spanked by the principal. That man's still alive, and I'm trying. I put out a couple feelers to try and let him know that hey, I'd like to hang out and talk or whatever. I haven't heard anything back. No, Mr. Voss.
Mr. Voss.
Mr. Voss. Yeah, I like the guy. I mean, I just he did his job, man. I feel bad for making him do his job. Shit.
A lot of respect back in the day.
I mean, that's a lot really what it was too. So the communal trust fall, the thought that a friend or a neighbor would step in and help a kid like kind of home alone, right? So all of these things are leading towards single parents. All these things are leading towards, even if you have two parents, the mom has to go to work anyway. You know what I mean? So you're still, coming home to an empty house. School gets out at 3:00. Parents still get off work until 5. There's a 2-hour gap anyway. And, then how long does it take for them to get home? Sometimes it's only a few minutes. Sometimes it's much longer, right? But all of that time, right? 1970s inflation, stagflation, shifting social norms accelerated mothers entering the paid workforce. By 1975, about half of all mothers with school-age children were in the workforce.
I believe it.
Half were working. Mrs. Cunningham. I was going to say Marion Ross, but that's her real name.
Mrs. Ross.
Mrs. Cunningham. Happy Days. She didn't have to work. You want to call out some bullshit? Mrs. Brady. Mrs. Brady on the Brady Bunch. Mike Brady worked. Mrs. Brady didn't work. This is a well-known thing, but you know what? They had a fucking maid. Mrs. Brady didn't work. She didn't work. She did not work. She hung around the house with her housekeeper who did all her work for her. And she stood next to her and watched her while the maid did all the work.
What a life.
I wouldn't do it. Like, I ain't paying that maid. Like, nope.
And she's paying the meat man, too. What was his name?
Sam.
Sam the meat man?
He deliver meat.
I'll deliver your meat.
1975, half of all mothers with school-age children were in the workforce. The rise of the latchkey kid. Here we go, right? Half of the mothers are in the workforce by now. Not just all in 1 year. This is a gradual thing that grew, right? I was born in 72. I'm only 73 by this time. I'm only 3 by this time, right? 1975, I'm only 3 years old. Is what I was trying to spit out. Easy for me to say. And so I wasn't affected by it yet, but my mom was still working. I had 2 parents in the house. I did. Both of them worked, period, right? And here's the movie, Mr. Mom. And then just a reminder that the divorce, don't forget the free divorce laws now, the free divorce since 1969. So people can just get divorced for no reason or whatever. Which, I don't know. There's lots of reasons to have. It's hard to prove he's just a dick. You know what I mean? It's hard to prove in court that, she's just unbearable.
Yeah, well, it's hard to prove anything back then. I mean, you could get away with anything. Now you can't. Someone's going to have an angle on it.
Thank you, though. The rise of the latchkey kid, so right now we have a house with just one parent in it or 2 parents that aren't off work until 5:00, typically. Kids get out at 3, right? Lack of childcare. If you don't have a grandma or an auntie, that you can go over to their house after school, you're coming home to an empty house, right? After school programs didn't exist everywhere. School gets out at 3, adults get off at work, traffic, etc., right? Lack of family support, that whole communal theory, like the kids will help, the neighbor, we could lean on the neighbor if my kid was home at night or, after work and needed something. You already talked to, our neighbor next door, Betty.
Yeah, they'll check up on you, or else you could call me.
Yeah, hey, Betty, he comes home, blah, blah, blah. If there's an emergency, can he come over here? Can he use your phone? Can he, blah, blah, blah.
And it better have been like you lost a limb if you're calling your parents.
From the other phone. It's like, yeah. Well, because you're not losing your phone back in 1984.
Yeah.
Or 1976. Or 19 whatever. In 19 whatever, you're not, well, I guess you could lose your phone in 1999. But anyways, so empty homes with both parents or the single parents working past school hours, millions of Gen X children were given house keys to let themselves in. That's the latchkey idea. That's where the whole definition of latchkey comes in, right? I left my house at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't see my parents again until 10 hours later. In that time, I had to be good at school, call and check in after school, do my homework and chores, call and ask if I could leave, and then be home by dinner. And this is the core reason why Gen X has been adulting their entire lives, is that list right there.
That's right.
So I left at 7:30. My parents didn't get home till 5:30. 5:30? That's 10 hours.
You know what else you could throw in there too is like when you were in grammar school, your athletics didn't really start until your parents got off of work, because you didn't go right to like Little League.
Right.
After school, you went home, did your stuff. Then mom and dad got home and said, hey, it's time to go to practice.
So that's later. That we'll actually get to that, is where that's part of the reason why the latchkey kids disappeared, is the rise of after school sports and activities. Yeah. And then, the whole kind of shifting. And
I did not get the memo on that, man.
No, we're good. We're on the same sync. Here we go. Right.
We're talking ripping though. Okay. We're not talking
beauty town. Beauty town. I liked ripping.
I liked it too. I was in Manteca the other day, and guess where I was? On Lupton Street.
Yeah, I know Lupton.
Yeah, I lived on Lupton when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Went by the house, saw it. Boy, that neighborhood is run down now a bit.
Yeah. I got my bestie lives over there.
That's Sequoia,
Lupton.
right?
Yeah, Sequoia.
Yeah, I went to Sequoia for kindergarten.
Oh. Who was the teacher? Mrs.
God.
Oh, no, I remember it was... I didn't go there for kindergarten. That's why I don't know. I had Mrs. Long for first grade.
Yeah, because there was Shasta, too.
Well, there's a whole bunch of schools. Shasta had the rocket slide.
That was the best. Still the best.
All right. So our parents had to go through a lot of changes growing up. That kind of, they're the ones who kind of were the ones who were experiencing the actual changes between the happy days, the single income breadwinner idea, to multiple, all parents working, or single household. More than half of, or whatever that number was for the moms working, right? Of working moms, from like hardly any working moms to like, anyways, what was that number? I don't remember. It's up there somewhere. Where did all these kids go? We don't have a feral generation anymore. That 10 hours or more, and that's if your parents got off at 5 o'clock and they got to be home by 5:30. If your parents got off at 6 and there's still an hour commute, you were putting dinner on. She took meat out, and you were starting dinner, or she started something and you were going to finish dinner. To some degree, you were helping out over the phone with instructions.
When did the commute start? My parents always worked local. I knew a few people that went over the hill or whatever, but it just seems like as it advanced further, year-wise, more people started commuting.
Gonzo, he's in Missouri. Shout out to Chris. Oh, that's right. Chris.
Missouri.
He said Chris lives out in Missouri. Shout out to Chris. He's headed to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Oh,
yes.
my God, yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'm wearing your face.
Retro Bizarre. Check him out over on TikTok and YouTube. Our buddy Gonzo up here is dropping content all the time. Oh, my parents divorced when I was 5. My dad remarried. I walked to Rapona Market every day to play video games and to buy candy. And I walked to Rapona Elementary by myself every morning until 8th grade. Came home to an empty house, ate cereal and watched cartoons until they came home around 5. Hell yeah. It's exactly what it is, right? I had chores to do. I had that kind of shit to do, and I had to be good in school. I don't know if that was everybody's rule.
What about summer?
What do you mean?
I mean,
go play fucking outside.
Yeah, for mom and dad to be gone, you'd have.
I still have chores.
Yeah, you'd have this. There's no homework. There's nothing.
Yeah, I played hard as a kid, though, and what I mean by that
I
is
think
like
we all played hard.
We played hard as kids, man. We had bikes. We put miles on our bikes. Miles.
Yeah, just stop. Use the phone at someone's house and tell them, "Hey, man, I'm okay. I'm coming home."
When's the last time you rode a bike until you had a cramp?
Oh God, when's the last time I rode a bike?
When's the last time you ran until you had a cramp, and only stopped because you had a cramp and kept running again? You're out of breath. You don't even care. You know what I mean? When's the last time you've done all that? So when's the last time you hopped a fence?
I ain't hopping no fence now. I think I'd rather go through the fence now than over it.
When's the last time you've been upside down? Like did a cartwheel or some shit, or a somersault, or
you'd have to ask my wife the last time I was upside down.
All right. So where'd all the latchkey kids go? The communal trust fall, the one, the community is going to help us. The next door neighbor can, we can lean on them, or, everybody's going to be a good parent to my kid. Yeah, no. Rise of stranger danger. Straight up. And, again, to, Des Shepherd, if you see this, dude, we love you. We're a big fan. Come on the show. He was talking about, it was safer back in the 80s. No, you ever watch any of these documentaries? They're all based in the 80s. All the good serial killers, all in the 80s. Every single one of them. A friend of mine, a psychologist, she was saying that, some of the best casework or the casework on serial killers couldn't start or didn't start until the ones from the 80s, because that was it was so profound. There were so many of them, I guess was the idea. Or there was so many. I don't know. There was a lot of data there, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, it wasn't safer, And then the rise of stranger danger. We can't just, and, this just kind of copying this guy's whole, spiel here. But, we can't just jump in any van. We can't just, go around and, solve crimes. Scoob.
It was always there. It just as.
We didn't see it. We didn't know.
You didn't know. Could have been the milkman. I mean, you just don't know.
70s and 80s, highly publicized child abductions. That's the fucking media for you.
Yeah, Adam Walsh. I mean, I remember that being the big one.
Yeah, high-profile cases, disappearance of Eaton Pats and Adam Walsh.
Because who's the guy who does that show?
That was...
It was his dad.
Yeah.
Who did the show.
Yeah. Was it Adam? Was it Bill Walsh? No, that was the coach.
That was the coach of the Niners.
Hey, 80s Walsh. I wasn't too far off, right? They're probably related. Those shows, or not those shows. I'm sorry. Those kidnappings, those disappearances, or whatever, altered parents' perception of safety. Man, there are some weirdos out there, and they will steal your fucking kids, and you never will see them again. Whatever people do to people that make them never found again is just horrific, right? I mean, we're pretty good at finding shit.
I mean, you could kidnap a kid back then and basically call it yours, and no one would know the
Just
wiser.
tell them to shut up in public.
Forever.
Yeah.
It's happened. I mean, people are like, hey, man, that's my daughter.
Right. The Missing Children Milk Carton Program. We covered that on a whole podcast once. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of kids featured, and that was a private campaign or a public campaign. That was a bunch of dairy farmers that got together and donated the money for that.
And I think they only found like 2 kids.
Yeah,
3
indirectly.
kids.
One kid saw themselves, or one kid saw their friend, and they showed their friend. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll call my dad.
Gore sang a song about Have You Seen Me?
Yeah.
Is a Gore song, and it's about the Missing Children Milk Carton Program.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Gore. They're still on tour.
We'll look it up, bro.
They're still on tour, bro.
Have you seen me?
I wonder if we can sneak that in real quick.
Someone out there's got to know about Gore.
What do we know about Gore?
I had to throw away the VHS tape because I just could not imagine my kids watching that. It was just so horrible.
Oh.
I think Gore
Facebook's
was
going to ban us.
Better back then. I don't know what Gore's doing now.
They've on tour. They came through Aftershock a couple years back, just recently. Yeah. Summer in the 80s used to ride bikes with Esky and Eddie. Yeah, rest in peace, fellas. Freddie Velasco, Gabriel Campos, yes. And they were all kids, all on ripping. Headed to Pizza Plus, play video games all day, head down to the river, ride bikes all day and night, and never stopped.
Yeah.
I rode a bike yesterday.
Hit the dairy out there. Over there by the fire department. I forget what that dairy was called.
Madsen's
Dairy, yeah.
Madsen's Dairy, yeah.
Hit it up, get some penny.
You could drive in and, yeah, that was cool.
Pick up a keg.
Yeah, they had ice cream. They had ice cream there. It was pretty good.
They had ice. They had milk.
So the Missing Children's Milk Carton Program. So the idea is, where'd all the latchkey kids go? Well, first thing that started affecting that is a lot of awareness on the dangers of being alone, being a child alone in America, right? So the high profile cases, the missing milk cartons, violent crime stats didn't necessarily justify the panic, but the cultural consensus shifted from viewing the neighborhood as a safe playground to viewing it as a landscape of hidden threats. We have a great writer. So, legal redefinitions of child neglect. So, you just redefine what fucking neglect is, right? Age restrictions. States began passing specific laws establishing the minimum age a child could legally be left unattended, often ranging from 10 to 14 years old.
Yeah.
So, that's fifth grade, right? Fifth grade?
Yeah.
I was home alone before that.
How many hours could you leave them home? I mean,
I don't think my mom picked me up in first grade, second grade, because we lived just down the street. I think I got to walk there and back. I know a few times she'd stand on the sidewalk and watch me walk to a certain point, but I was 3 blocks straight shot down to the corner of the school lot. Not even 3 blocks. It was,
and that was Manteca.
yeah. If I crossed the street, it was one long block. It was longer than a normal block. But I didn't have to cross any more streets until I got to the school.
You don't see kids doing that now.
I don't think there's a street. No. So anyways, age restrictions, criminalized parenting. Actions that were standard practice in 1982, such as an 8-year-old walking home alone from the bus stop or sitting in an empty house for 3 hours, became grounds for a neighbor to call the police and for the parents to face endangerment charges.
I think there'd be some fights.
For the neighbors to call police.
Oh, did you call
so
the
we
cops
went
on
from the
me?
neighbors protecting our kids to the, I shouldn't say that. I'm glad they call the police to some degree because they save a lot of kids from being freaking hurt, man. So, the professionalization of the childhood, the yuppie impact. And here's where we get, right? Childhood got professionalized. So it became a thing. So latchkey kids became kind of, out of necessity because both parents worked. There was a shift. And now it became the structured activities. It became the status symbol. Then here's the birth of the soccer mom, right? Hustling the kids around to all the multiple practices like you were talking about earlier, and having 2 or 3 different sports going on, or God forbid you have multiple kids, right? So after school programs, after school sports, more than just the rec league. Because I think all we had growing up was a Parks and Rec league, right?
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
And they had basketball, they had the sports, but it was all seasonal like it is now. But it was just, everybody got to go and you got to wear like a yellow fucking net jersey or not.
Yeah.
And then you went and just threw the basketball at the hoop for.
I think Little League and Ripon was really big. So
Right.
that was, the biggest thing I think that was going on.
Right. Status symbol, hyper busy. Children became middle class status. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I can't. We're to have, Jeremy has practice and Maya has, Steven has. Kind of became bragging rights. Adam.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then here's something I am guilty of: overcorrection by Gen X parents. I think my generation is also the birth of helicopter parenting.
Yeah, I think every generation tries to do better for their kids, and then we end up not doing the best thing.
We had our kids in the 90s. A lot of us had our kids in the 90s. I had my kids in the early 90s. A lot of my friends had kids in the early 90s. A lot of my friends are, had kids a little bit later on, and I've had kids. I got kids in all the generations. So I have millennials, I have an alpha, and I have Gen Z.
A Z.
I do. I have all. I'm a parent to all the generations so far.
So what's an alpha? Is that 32-ish or?
Alpha is the brand new one right now.
Okay.
It's the brand new one. My daughter is a Gen Alpha. I couldn't tell you the years right now. So, overcorrection, raising my first 2 kids and, they were born in 92 and 94. Raising those guys, I was a very capable young man. I was a very capable child. So I became a very capable parent. I didn't necessarily do a lot of things for them, but I would set it up and then teach them what I did. Right. Instead of them out there just figuring stuff. I mean, they got to play outside a lot. And that was part of the other expectation. They got to go play outside a lot, but I kept a closer eye. They had smaller areas and I had them check in more often. Right. Because I knew what I was doing out there. I've talked about this 100 times, being in the irrigation pipes underneath Manteca Golf Course and the ditch that used to run along the side of it. I had no business being, opening the gauge, crawling down there, turning the wheel to lift up the gate, and then going down the big tunnel because it goes out and pops up inside the lake. You know what I mean? It's an overflow and shit.
Yeah.
I know I know business being down there.
No business.
No business being down there, right? So that has a lot to do with why, my kids didn't get to do a whole lot, or I kind of knew about it, right? You know what I mean? I wasn't dumb. I wasn't a dumb parent because I kind of, you know what I mean?
I get you. I used to let them go, but I'd watch them at a distance kind of thing. It wasn't like, they're good. They're outside.
Right. Birth of a helicopter parent. I don't think it's from severe isolation. I think it's because, holy shit, I lied to my parents so much. And I drank and used, and I did all the party things, and I got in a lot of trouble. I got in a lot of situations that the good Lord only himself got me out of and kept me protected. And I was just thinking about this the other day, some of the things I'd done. And it was just like cringy. Like, how did I think I was going to get away with that? How could I possibly? I'm just like, I was naive. I was young. Like, I was 21 and I was in a dive bar. You know what I mean? Just acting a fool. And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, there's no reason other than God himself that saved me for not getting just drug out of that bar and just beat to death. I mean, I wasn't like hurting. I wasn't like anything extreme, but that's where that stuff happens. And that's how that stuff happens. And that's when that stuff happens. You know what I mean? I just gotten the shit kicked out of me or something traumatic. Right. And it never happened. So not like that. So I was just thinking about that the other day. It was like, fuck. So thank you for keeping me safe, right? But that has a lot to do with why, my kids didn't get to do a lot of stuff. I'm like, no, you don't need to be out past 10 o'clock just hanging out. That's when you start doing weird shit or sniffing fucking Scotch Guard. And
that's when Dad is roaming the streets looking for you.
Yeah, riding your bike around 10 o'clock just looking cool.
And then he's mad when he gets you because you're cutting into his sleep time or his with mom time. Mm-hmm. And then you're in a world of crap. Then you get I called it groundation when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It would just be like, oh, you're grounded.
Yeah.
But thank God for summer school because I could go to summer school and socialize a little bit.
Yeah.
You're around school, man. What a win that was.
We would get in trouble if we had to go to summer school. It wasn't an elective when I was a kid.
Well, I couldn't go out at summer school.
I would be hella grounded if I had to go to summer school.
I think I owe a big shout out to Miss Messick for that. Cause
yes.
I think I had 3 years of Miss Messick. I think she taught me the drama stuff that because I'm quite the actor, and all that, I should register with the Actors Guild or something.
Yes. I would like to thank the Academy.
Yes. Mrs. Messick, this is for you.
The rise of after school, the rise of awareness, for one. Right. Hey, let's go ahead and talk about all these missing kids. All these kids that we've been leaving at home for the last 15 years. Let's talk about that. Hell of them have gone missing. That's okay. Maybe let's bring it in. Let's increase the after school daycare programs. Let's start having before daycare or before school time. Let's let them in early. Let's keep them a little bit longer. Let's close that gap between the time the kids get out of school and the parents get off work. Let's close that gap by keeping the kids on campus. Right. Number one. Thank you for that. Number two, things shifted to where, the moms didn't have to work again. And so some of these younger moms, right, are able to do like the hyper sports thing, or maybe they do have a job and they are just busting their ass, right? That's a lot of my friends, right? 2 incomes and they're keeping up on the sports, because we're full-time cheer parents, right? And, they're keeping up on sports or keeping up on this and full-time jobs or juggling all that became a status. So maybe adjusting work schedules or doing whatever you have to do and rushing home and breaking your neck to keep your kids all in this, or maybe they get bussed over to Taekwondo after school or whatever, right? The idea is the rise of that, and they became so much so that it became like a status symbol, for parents, And then they changed some laws. They're saying you can't leave an 8-year-old at home anymore. Your neighbors will snitch on you now. They will no longer help you. They will now tattle on you for leaving your little kid at home or walking home alone. And you know what? I don't know. I'm mixed on that because some 8-year-olds can walk home. Some should not be out the sight of any adult.
It would just seem weird seeing an 8-year-old. I've I've caught a kid outside in his diaper one time. You know, he got out, he escaped from his house. And I just remember looking at that going, what kind of parent are you?
Yeah.
You know, but then you got to think, well, what kind of kid is that?
Mm-hmm. Well, kids will play fucking naked if you let them.
You know, you escape from the house.
Right. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of how we went from happy days to, you know, a feral generation, and why we don't really have that feral generation anymore. But you know what? I'm proud of that feral generation because I've been adulting since I was a little kid. And then, so that adulting has kind of stayed with me. So I had the adult life with me since I was a little kid. But then that little kid in me, a lot of it never grew up because I'd already found my balance. You know what I mean? I just, you know, the work in front of me changed. I finished elementary school, so I went to high school. I finished high school, so I went to work. Actually, I went to party and shit for a few years, but then, you know, I was working the whole time. I was functional. You know what I mean? So it's just whatever's in front of me changed, but I'd been doing that for like a long time.
Yeah, and I think we had opportunities for jobs too, like paper delivery, you know. I mean, working at the dairy. I mean, you know, I used to gather eggs since I was like 10. So, I mean, it was a daily job. I had to do it every day. On the weekends, when school was in, I didn't have to do it.
Right.
But I'd make some extra money on the side, you know.
Yeah.
Did you have a job?
Yeah, I had jobs.
Like, you know.
I had a paper route.
Paper route?
I did. My parents owned a small trucking company when I was little. And so when I was little, I would, you know, get job like picking up all the nails in the yard so they wouldn't pop tires in the trucks. And I get like a nickel for each one or something.
That's a good job.
You know what I mean? Like when I was little, I'd get jobs like that. And then when I got big enough, I'd work on the dock and load and unload trucks and shit like that too. So, yep. I get to do all that shit. So,
yeah, I mean, and by ourselves. And we'd have to make it to work. I mean, no one's going to wake me up and go, hey, you need to go to work, son. Or, hey, you know, did you do your homework?
Yeah.
You know, because if I didn't.
I don't want to get in trouble.
It was time for a beating.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. And
or
so that's how we managed it. I don't want to be in trouble. You know, and I got in trouble a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't say I avoided it.
You know, you had built-in responsibility when you were 8, basically.
And we got to manage them in our own. I mean, we really did. Because like I said, you know, we left the house at 7:30. I started school at 8 or 7:50 or whatever the actual time is, right? I left early, right? Because I wanted to play before school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hang out.
The bell rings that, you know, you can go play. All your friends are there. And then, you know, I'm almost sweaty and hyped up by the time I go in first grade, second grade or whatever, you know, when I first go in and stuff. But yeah. And then, you know, I go home and then my mom wouldn't be there until like 5:30, whatever. And I was home all day. I was away from my parents all day.
Yeah.
And part of my job was to be good in school. Oh, I guess that was just expected of other people. I had to be, you know, I'm just kidding. I got in a lot of trouble. Anyways, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us. Much love to our folks. If you haven't already, please like, love, and subscribe. Follow, comment, marry one, kill one, F1, whatever it is you want to do. So thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate it. My name is Jason.
And I'm Jamie.
Peace out, everybody. Yay, and we out. Thank you, everyone. Peace out,
Bye-bye.
everybody.